And welcome inside the Raleigh County Convention Center. This afternoon, Video Productions presents the Little General Battle for the Armory. It's the Little General PEPSI division, and it's a game between Mount Hope Christian Academy, who are 7-1, and the Princeton Tigers are 5-1. We're going to go ahead and take a commercial break, come back and get you ready for the tip. You're watching live streaming coverage of high school basketball here on Video Productions.
Former college football player, I realize that sports-related injuries can happen real fast. Hello, I'm Dr. Gross. If your child or grandchild is dealing with sports-related injuries, or maybe you're dealing with something that just won't go away, call me today and I can help you get back on the playing field. To better serve you, see us at one of our 3 locations in Beckley, Whipple, and Sophia at the numbers listed below. So take care of yourself. You deserve it.
And we welcome you back inside the Raleigh County Convention Center at Dave Bartsdale Court. As we mentioned this afternoon, Video Productions here for the Little General Battle for the Armory, the PEPSI division with Eric Thomas. I'm Maris Lowry. And the first game we have here, Eric, this afternoon, Mount Hope Christian 7-1. Taking on the Princeton Tigers 5-1. And of course, most of I would think of our basketball fans, our viewers, probably obviously very familiar with the Princeton Tigers, but not very many may be familiar with Mount Hope Christian.
Yeah, this will be the first time for me viewing the Mount Hope Christian team. They have a couple familiar names on the roster that I'm familiar with, so we'll both be getting to know this program today.
One of the outstanding players for Mount Hope Christian that we need to highlight here this afternoon is Joshua McCoy, and he's a junior player. He started his freshman year. When I say started, he didn't start for Beckley, but he started his high school career at Beckley Woodrow Wilson before transferring to Mount Hope Christian, but he can light it up. He's averaging 30 points a game, and then they have Nolan Carney averaging 20 a game. So they have 2 kids that put together 50 points a game.
Yeah, anytime you have that dynamic duo of double scorers like that, Maris, it puts a lot of pressure, on the Princeton defense. But the thing I think Mount Hope Christian will be challenged today because of the veteran team in Princeton.
And for the Princeton Tigers, they have 4 players of their starting 5 in double figures. Nicholas Fleming averages 17 a game. Chase Hancock, it seems like he's been playing there for like 8 years. He's averaging 17 a game. And then you have Chris Joyce at 15 a game. And then Cohen Sarton at 13 a game. So 4 of Princeton's starting 5 double-figure scores, plus their main guy, Grant Cochran, who was hurt in the preseason, has only played a couple of games. He'll play here this afternoon, but he won't start.
Yeah, and the thing is with Cochran being out, all that's doing is really building the depth for the Princeton Tigers, Maris. And I think that anytime you can have an early season injury like that, it just gives someone else more opportunity to gain some experience, and that just helps you along the way towards tournament time.
Mount Hope Christian will be the home team on the scoreboard. Their head coach is Quentin Runyon. As I mentioned, they're 7-1. This is Coach Runyon's 2nd year. It's the 5th year overall for Mount Hope Christian. And, of course, the veteran coach over on the other side for Princeton, Rob Williams, he's the head coach of the Princeton Tigers. And, of course, Princeton 5-1. They won their first 5 games, and they dropped a 74-69 decision over Greenbrier East. So shows you how good East is. East beat Beckley here in Beckley and then went to Princeton and beat Princeton.
Yeah, and on the road, anytime you can win in this venue and on the road in Princeton, those are 2 tough environments and a sectional foe. So look for this Nick Fleming. I was very impressed with him when we did the scrimmages at Shady Spring early in the season.
So we're underway here from the Raleigh County Convention Center, Dave Bartsdale Court. This Little General Battle for the Armory, the PEPSI division, and Princeton will get first crack at it. Here's a 3-ball. It's too strong. That 3-ball that time was put up by Sarton, and we've got a whistle and a foul And the foul's going to be on the putback, and Princeton will have an opportunity to score the game's first points from the free throw line.
Yeah, Princeton may have the advantage on the boards early on as you look at the lineup right here. Looks like Mount Hope Christian is a little challenged as far as in the height division right now.
So 2 shots coming for Princeton's Chase Hancock, a 6-foot senior averaging 17 a game, knocks down the first one, and he got them both. And those are the first 2 points of the ball game. So here's Princeton. They get the steal off the press, and they get an easy layup right of the lane. Hancock got the steal, and he was able to dish over to Stover, and Stover lays it up and in.
Yeah, and the pressure early on, Mount Hope's going to have to really handle this Princeton pressure.
And their turn, nope, it's going to stay with Mount Hope Christian. The main thing, if you're Princeton, you probably want to get the ball out of the hands of McCoy. McCoy, as I mentioned, he's averaging 30 points a game. And, Eric, I don't care what level of basketball you play. If you can average 30, that's filling it up.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely has a good offensive skill set. And they're going to need all 30 of those tonight.
Princeton turned them over, and then they turn it right back over. So here's McCoy on the attack. The funny, I don't know if it was really funny. I think one of the things that I saw with Mount Hope Christian, their nickname is the Warriors, and they say that it's not a mascot, it's just who they are. I kind of like that kind of mentality as they work the ball around the horn, trying to get McCoy free, and he drives down the lane, contact, no whistle, puts up the shot. And I kind of like that. I think that even though there was contact, I think that's a good no call.
Well, McCoy was actually falling away on the bucket as Fleming is fouled going to the rack.
So it'll be a couple of free throws for Princeton.
I think that's going to be whistled on Elijah Williams.
Fleming, one of the team's 2 leading scorers, will get to the free throw line and shoot a pair. You know, Eric, you and I had an opportunity to watch Princeton in a scrimmage over in the Shady Shootout here on video production, and I was very impressed with what I saw out of Princeton early, and I think Princeton is going to make some noise in the section and the region.
Well, the thing you get with Princeton, you have a deep veteran team, and you know they've seen all the battles. Marison, yeah, they will challenge for the sectional titles and the regional.
So Fleming knocks them both down. And Princeton really putting a lot of pressure on the ball. Now Princeton's going to commit a foul. A little too aggressive that time right there in front of the Princeton bench.
Yeah, they're going to get Fleming's going to be whistled, getting his hand caught in the cookie jar there, Marison. That will be his first and the team's first.
Yeah, sometimes they have a mousetrap in that cookie jar. And that smarts a little bit if you get your hand caught in that, right?
Yep, you definitely have to watch.
Here's McCoy. That's the guy that they really got to get going in. He turns it over. Good defense by Princeton. And now McCoy fighting. They're down on the floor, and we're going to have a timeout. So Princeton able to whistle the timeout. And let's see. It looks like we're going to have a 30-second timeout. While we do, Video Productions would like to thank one of our live streaming sponsors, David and Cindy Chin of All Truist Realty. Dave and Cindy work 24/7 to meet your scheduling needs. So whether you're buying or selling, you can call David and Cindy Chin so they can help guide you through all the process there at All Truist Realty Group, Dave and Cindy Chin. So out of the 30-second timeout, Princeton will have possession. We played, Eric, a minute and a half into the game, and Mount Hope yet to score.
Mount Hope, not only have they yet to score, they've only had one shot attempt, a contested shot by their leading scorer, Josiah McCoy.
So here comes the Princeton Tigers on the attack. They try to get the ball in the post, which they do. Fleming backs his man down. Now here's a pass to Hancock. The 3 ball is good. That's a nice 2-man game. The ball went low to Fleming. He skips the ball across the lane and a 3 ball. And it's a 9-0 start for the Princeton Tigers. And once again, it looks like the pressure's really giving Mount Hope Christian some problems.
Yeah, the spacing and just the depth of Princeton. And I think right now Princeton's really asserting itself defensively.
Yeah, Williams put up that short shot on the baseline. Back the other way, Princeton in transition with the layup, left side of the lane. Sarton finishes. So 2.5 minutes gone by, and Mount Hope Christian yet to score. And like I said, the pressure of Princeton really making it difficult as they turn it over and back the other way. Here's Hancock with it. And Princeton works the ball inside and they throw it away. A lot of contact, ball's loose, no foul. 3 ball on the left side at short. Ball put up by Carney. He averages 20 a game, and he left that 3 a little short. Here's a baseline drive. Little short shot, no good. That shot by Sarton. And then I was screened out. I didn't see as the referee went by. I couldn't tell who had the putback. But it's a 13-0 Princeton advantage, and we're almost halfway through this opening quarter.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see who got the putback as well.
You know, Eric, as we do these games, there's a Princeton foul. Obviously, we have the video in front of us, but as calling these games, I don't like to really go off the video. I was watching live, and the referee ran right in front of me at that time, so I wasn't paying as much attention as maybe I need to our screen here. But there'll be free throw time as Carney will get to the line to shoot 2, and the first one is no good.
Yeah, and the lid's still on the bucket for the Mount Hope Christian Warriors.
Yep. So Nolan Carney, a junior, and there's the first. That stops the 13-0 run. He makes 1 of 2. Carney comes in averaging 20 a game. Like I said, the main 2 scorers are McCoy and Carney. 50 points between them as Princeton turns it over.
Yep, got I think that was Johnson maybe. Oh, Joyce, excuse me. Chris Joyce on the shuffle.
But the one thing about it, as we talked about, is just an unforced error turnover, putting the pressure in the backcourt, wanting getting the ball out of the hands of McCoy, and that time he throws it away.
And right now it seemed to work, and that's what you want to do, get the hand out of the, the primary ball handler, Maris, and Princeton's working it to perfection.
So there's Hancock with the drive with the left hand. Back iron's no good. Battle for the rebound. Hancock's back in his hands. That's no good. The tip is no good. And they battle for the loose ball, and it'll be out of bounds over to Mount Hope Christian. This is the first of 4 games here this afternoon and this evening and tonight here in the Battle for the Armory, being presented by Little General Stores. Of course, video production will have a live streaming of all the games today and tomorrow. 4 games on tap today, 4 games on tap tomorrow. 3 ball from the right side is no good. That shot was put up by a foreign, and the ball's out of bounds. It'll stay with the Warriors of Mount Hope Christian.
Yeah, and if you got open looks like that, you're going to have to knock it down. Garrett Foreign just not able to knock down the open look. And that's probably one of the cleanest looks that they've gotten thus far in the first quarter.
Yeah, the 4 o'clock game coming up will be Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic as Princeton gets the turnover. And there's Joyce, easy layup. And then the night session tonight will be James Monroe against Calvary Baptist Academy. That's a 6 o'clock game. And then Oak Hill and the Beckley Flying Eagles at 8 o'clock.
Another turnover for Mount Hope.
Yeah, Princeton has done a good job of turning Mount Hope Christian over. There's Fleming trying to back his way in. Hancock will dial up the 3, and it's answered. So a good, strong first quarter with a 17-point advantage right here for Princeton, and it made it really difficult for Mount Hope Christian. Here's a 3 ball on the left side. Good. Carney dials it up from downtown. So Carney's got all 4 of Mount Hope's points. A free throw and now a 3 ball. Princeton trying to set up their offense. Joyce with it now. Nice pass inside, and it's going to be a turnover, and the ball will go back over to Mount Hope Christian.
Yeah, and looks like Princeton's going to keep this defense extended and really put the pressure on McCoy.
Yeah, the 2 early games here, this one and the next one, are in the PEPSI division, and then the night session, as the ball's thrown into the backcourt and it's a turnover, will be a part of the Burger King division here at the Battle for the Armory. And we have a timeout on the floor, 30-second timeout. So we'll keep it right here for a minute. While we got a minute, we want to thank one of our other streaming sponsors. Video Production would like to thank Our instant replay sponsor, West Virginia Orthopedic and Trauma, Dr. John Tabbitt. So whether you're in a car accident or you have a sports-related injury, Dr. Tabbitt and his staff will get you right back on your feet. Dr. Tabbitt, of West Virginia Orthopedic and Trauma, a proud sponsor of high school athletics in southern West Virginia. So right now, Eric, the difference of this first quarter has just been the pressure that Princeton has put on Mount Hope. Mount Hope not really able to handle the pressure up to this point.
Yeah, the Princeton pressure definitely has really turned them over, and Princeton's getting the easy shots and easy possessions because of the turnovers.
So out of the timeout, Princeton will have possession of the ball. Princeton entered the ball game 5-1. Why Mount Hope Christian 7-1. Here's Hancock dialing it up from distance, and it won't get there, but Joyce skies above everybody for the rebound. He'll take it back out and shoot it 3. And that's how they play basketball in 2022, Eric. You get a rebound inside the lane. Instead of putting it back up, you bring it behind the three-point line and you dial up a 3.
Hey, that's the nature of the beast now. The high percentage shot, so to speak, is the 3 for a lot of teams.
There's a nice feed to lay up for Fleming. So here comes McCoy with it. McCoy, as I mentioned, a 30-point game scorer, is yet to score here in this game. And there's another turnover. Hancock in the open court. And he misses the layup, but there's a follow-up by Fleming. Good hustle that time by Fleming. He thought that perhaps, you never want to take for granted that the guy ahead of you is going to make the layup. And
that's
good
right.
hustle on the putback.
Never give up on the play, and that's Fleming's 6th point of the first quarter.
But it's been a real struggle for Mount Hope Christian with the defense that Princeton has put on them as we're approaching the final minute of the first quarter. Here's McCoy from downtown, tickling the twine. That was a nice-looking shot.
That was a good-looking stroke, and as he rose up and knocked down the 3.
Boy, the way he shot that, you can see why he averages 30 points a game. Princeton working it around the horn, get the ball inside. Power move off the window, up and in. That's Sarton. Sarton come in averaging 13 a game. Here's McCoy with it. Coming up on the final 30 seconds of the quarter, McCoy will dial it up from distance and hit. Back-to-back 3 balls. Last shot time we'll see for Princeton in the final 25 seconds of quarter number 1. But another way they play, Eric, a lot of times with this much time, they don't hold it for the last shot.
That's for sure.
The game has really changed on so many levels. Fleming will dial it up just inside the 3-point line and knock it down.
Good mid-range jump shot. That's 3 straight buckets for Fleming.
Last shot time now for Mount Hope Christian. The final 3 seconds. Will they get a shot off? They will, but it won't go. And that's the end of 1. At the end of the first quarter, your score, Princeton leads Mount Hope Christian 26-10. You're watching live streaming coverage of the Battle for the Armory presented by Little General Stores here on Video Productions. And we welcome you back to the Raleigh County Convention Center with Eric Thomas. I'm Maris Lowry, the heavy hitter, Mr. Nick Eskins, producing and directing. The executive producer of Video Productions, Mr. Butch Mounts, in the house here this afternoon, Eric. And, I had an opportunity to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas before the Christmas break. And now I'll wish you a very happy New Year prior to New Year as McCoy gets blocked from behind.
Yeah, McCoy is attacking a little more. I guess those 3 balls got him a little more active on the offensive end.
And, I know you had a very Merry Christmas because I spent it with you.
Yes.
And I know you're going to have a festive New Year because I'm going to spend that with you.
Definitely. Hey, no way better to close out the year with you, my friend. We
I
had
know.
a good time on Christmas, watching a little sports and eating some good victuals.
And the people don't know how, as us being partners on air, how much partners we really are, right?
That's right.
Connected. There's a 3-ball. McCoy heating it up.
You see, and that's the old adage. It only takes one to get you going.
Well, here's the thing, too, and if you're Mount Hope Christian, you got to find a way to chip into the lead a little bit at a time.
And that's a good way to chip into it, by making shots.
Well, that's it. There's a steal, and you got to turn them over. You got to be good on one end so you can be better on the other. Here's McCoy in the open floor, step back three, in and out. That's heartbreak. That was halfway down. Princeton has dipped into its bench, and Collins into the ball game. Also, another new player into the game is Reed Thomas as Princeton turns it over.
And right there, if you can look, Josiah McCoy has all the offensive tools.
Right.
You can see it. And you know what? He plays calm.
And
he doesn't look like he's rattled. Even though he's getting the pressure, he's still staying within himself.
Yeah, and the key, too, to get back in the game is getting stops. I mean, you figure the shots will fall, but you got to get stops on the defensive end. So back the other way comes Princeton with it. But like I said, Princeton, I think, is going to be a team to reckon with, as that's an air ball there. When we look at it, and there's a foul on the play, and it's going to go against Princeton. Foul's going to go against Edwards. But, Eric, like we talked about earlier, I think that when you look at the way you look at Beckley, Greenbrier East, Princeton, Oak Hill, those are really early in the season, it's hard maybe to get separation. You might think Greenbrier East has done that because they beat Beckley and Princeton. But throughout the course of the season, I think Princeton's going to be a team that you're going to have to reckon with.
Yeah, and all the teams you named, as they let them play through right there. I didn't see who scored that. It may have been Carney.
It was, and it's a little mini 5-0 run. And there's a nice drive to the basket and finish right of the lane. Edwards. The Princeton with full court pressure, really trying to make McCoy work, trying to get the ball out of his hands. Here's a pass ahead of the field for a layup right of the lane. That's good by Miller. So right now, Mount Hope looks like they're much more comfortable on the offensive end, but they've got to really D it up here on this end of the floor. And there's a nice drive and a block from behind.
Yeah, and right now, Mount Hope started the second quarter hot. They're 3 of 5 from the floor and made 1 3 and 1 long ball and 2 twos, so to pull within 11 points.
That's what I'm saying. They feel, and you can see they look much more comfortable over the last couple of minutes of the first quarter here into the second quarter. But on this end of the floor, the defensive end, they've got to get stops. And there's a missed 3, but an offensive rebound. And Princeton gets a third shot, maybe a fourth shot. They do, and they shot until they made it. And just Princeton just using your size, as you mentioned on top, Eric, and Thomas able to put that back in on the follow-up as there's a foul on the other end.
Yeah, Reed Thomas gets his first points of the game. This will be the 4th team foul on Princeton.
Yep, so it'll be side out across the way for Mount Hope Christian Academy.
And that was on Dom Collins, a good football player, Maris, all-state wideout. I think he led the area in touchdowns other than Judah Price, the Kennedy Award winner.
There's a nice pass by McCoy down low and a nice finish by Elijah Williams. Yeah, this is the 5th year for the basketball program at Mount Hope Christian Academy. Their head coach, Quentin Runyon, is the pastor of the iHeart Church, in which this follows into is there's a drive to the basket and a foul. And that's going to be Roberts getting to the line.
I didn't see.
Beg your pardon, Cochran going to the line.
That's going to be whistled on McCoy.
And you can see there Cochran wears that big brace. He had missed the preseason game that Eric, you and I done, and he'd missed a couple of the games. In fact, I think he's only played the last couple of games as he makes the first end of the 2-shot opportunity. And Princeton going to make wholesale changes, and their starters coming back into the game. Stover back in, Joyce back in, Fleming gets back in, and Hancock also checks back into the ball game.
Princeton's a perfect 5 of 5 at the free throw line thus far on the day.
So Cochran shoots the back end of the 2-shot opportunity. He made the first one, and he airballs this one. And, I'm just amazed sometimes how you can do that, how you can make the first one and shot it so good and then shot the second one so bad, or the other way around.
Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah.
It's just.
So Princeton, the key is, boy, their pressure has really been good. They're making really McCoy, and now Mount Hope's going to have to call a timeout.
Yeah, he had to help out McCoy there.
So this will be a full timeout. We'll take it with them. You're watching the Battle for the Armory being presented by Little General Stores, streaming live on Video Productions. And we welcome you back to the Raleigh County Convention Center. Out of the timeout, it'll be Mount Hope Christian. And, Princeton scored the first 13 points, led 13-0. And Mount Hope, Eric, had made it 13-1. Since then, they've played even. It's a 12-point game now, and Mount Hope trying to cut into that lead.
I think that was a good timeout by Coach Quentin Runyon.
And they
turn
steal
it over.
Yep, they steal the ball from McCoy, and there's a run out and a layup by Stover. So the biggest lead was 16. The lead's at 14 now. And the defense of Princeton, the harassment, forces yet another turnover by Mount Hope Christian. Eric, I'm really looking forward to the second game, too. I think the battle between the Warriors of Wyoming East and the Fighting Irish of Charleston Catholic, that's a very interesting game.
Yeah, it's going to be two well-coached teams aspiring to get to the state tournament. Both programs are state tournament, caliber teams.
Ball's loose, battle on the floor. Princeton gets it. Scoop shot up and no good, that time by Hancock. And here comes Mount Hope Christian out of there with it. Carney with it. Carney on the dribble. A lot of contact, and he'll draw the foul. But Carney was determined that he was going to take that himself, and that's a good play as he goes on the right baseline. A lot of contact, and he'll be rewarded by free throws.
Well, I like the way he was aggressive with the basketball. He didn't, he broke the pressure himself and got to the free throw line.
Talking about games tonight, I think it should be interesting as take a look at James Monroe as Carney makes the first of two free throws. James Monroe in the 6 o'clock game against Calvary Baptist, and then the Flying Eagles, who have lost their first two home games in losing a 1-point game to Greenbrier East and then lost to George Washington a week ago, trying to get their first victory of the season when they take on their arch rival, the Oak Hill Red Devils.
Yeah, and look for the Flying Eagles to really try to get that first win under their belt.
There's a three ball by Hancock. Like I said, he seems like he's been playing for Princeton forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's his third tray on the night. Or the afternoon, actually.
The turnover, like I said, the Princeton defense, the pressure that they've put on McCoy, and, you figure that right now with 3:26 left in the half, Eric, that Mount Hope Christian's got 21, and you figure they usually get 50 points a game from two players, and they're a long way from that. There's a little floater, no good. Fleming with the tip, doesn't go. But Princeton with nice passing inside, and there's a bucket that time by Sarton.
That's his 8th point of the contest.
Yeah, biggest lead of the game right here. Three ball back the other way. In the right corner by Carney. So, you think when you got guys that can get you 30 a game and 20 a game, you can score on the offensive end, but they got to get stops. Like I said before, there's a lot of contact in the lane, no whistle. The shot was put up, and then the follow-up up and good. That put back by Sarton again.
Yeah, Sarton is doing a great job on the offensive glass for the Princeton Tigers.
Fleming with the turnover, able to get the steal. Finds Joyce in the lane, a little floater up and in. Biggest lead of the game right here. And there's another steal. Joyce, he'll attack the basket, lay it up and in. Here's a three dialed up on the right side. No good. Joyce clears the rebound. That shot put up by Carney. And here comes Princeton with it. Biggest lead of the game right here. Coming down to the final 2 minutes of the opening half. Sarton. They double teaming, throws it back out. Three ball dialed up. Bringing rain. Boy, that was a deep three. And the biggest lead of the game right here. And this is a nice little run right here by Princeton now to open up this big lead.
Yeah, Chris Joyce was able to get his legs up under him and really get a nice shot off, nice stroke as he comes up with the steal defensively.
Yeah, big high arching shot back the other way. Hancock with the finish. Right now, over the last couple of minutes, this game has really kind of gotten away from Mount Hope Christian. You know, what was a 14-point game now has gone up to a 25-point game, and now we've got a foul. Or not a foul, just the ball knocked out of bounds, I beg your pardon. Yeah,
this has been a nice run by Princeton Tigers, fueled by that defense. The pressure has really been as they do the run and jump at McCoy and turn them over here.
Yeah, it's a 12-3 run as McCoy knocks the ball out of the hands of Hancock going to the basket. But the turnovers have been the story. Mount Hope Christian has turned the ball over a bunch in this first half.
A bunch, for easy run-out layups the other way.
So it'll be Princeton's ball. Fleming has it. Spin into the lane. Soft touch, can't get it to go. McCoy on the drive. Little pull-up off the window too strong. And we got a foul on the rebound. The foul is going to go against Mount Hope Christian. So that'll be a common foul. Princeton will inbound.
That's the team's fifth. And that's going to be, Josiah McCoy, the leading scorer's third personal foul. So with a minute to go in this first quarter, they cannot afford. Quarter.
First half, yeah.
First half, they can really not afford to lose him.
Yep, in the final minute of the opening half. Coming up at halftime, we'll recap the first half, get you all the numbers of the first half, as there's a putback no good by Hancock. McCoy gets the rebound. And then also, like I said, the second game tips at approximately 4 o'clock. It'll be Wyoming East, the Warriors, taking on the Fighting Irish of Charleston Catholic. A three ball by McCoy is no good. Final 30 seconds of the half, and the ball is a turnover thrown a little too far ahead of Stover that time. A little too much mustard on the pass that time by Fleming.
Yeah, that time, I guess sometimes you can be so wide open, as in football. You know how quarterbacks miss that wide open wide receiver. That was going to be an easy 2 for the Princeton Tigers.
You know, and Eric, that also sometimes explains the free throw shooting, because sometimes you can have a guy hanging all over you and you can fall out of bounds shooting a 3 and knock it down. You have the open, 15-footer free throw, and sometimes, you can't connect. So let's see. It'll be last shot time for Mount Hope Christian. Here's a 3. That is no good. And they've got an offensive rebound, and then the ball's taken away. Here's Fleming, the final 5 seconds of the half. Fleming knows the clock. Nice bounce pass and a finish right of the lane, that time by Sarton. And that's how the first half will come to an end. At the end of the first half, your score is Princeton 51, Mount Hope Christian 24. We'll take our first halftime break. We'll come back, recap the first half. You're watching live streaming coverage of the Battle for the Armory here. This is being presented by Little General Stores here, streaming live on Video Productions. And we welcome you back to the Raleigh County Convention Center. I'm Maris Lowry with Eric Thomas. We have the heavy hitter, Mr. Nick Eskins, producing and directing. Andrew Boland in the house, also assisting his talents. And we have the executive producer and director and the main guy from video productions, Mr. Butch Mounts, here as well. So when Butch is in the house, Eric, you know it's a big event. We appreciate Little General once again putting on this great event that they do every year. As you can see at the break, Princeton up big, 51-24. And Eric, you have some of the numbers of the first half.
Yeah, Princeton, they shot it really well in the first half. They were 21 of 40 from the field, 4 of 10 from three-point range, and 5 of 6 from the free throw line. So if you're shooting the ball that efficiently, you're going to be out to a big lead, as they are with 51 points in the first half. They've been led in scoring by Chase Hancock with 13, Cohen Sarton with 12, and Nick Fleming all just knocking on double figures door with 8. On the flip side for Mount Hope Christian, of course their two leading scorers are Carney and McCoy, and they're leading the way with 9 points from McCoy on 3 of 8 shooting from the field, 3 of 6 from three-point line, and 11 points from Carney right now on 3 of 6 shooting and 2 of 5 from three-point range.
And, you know, one of the things about the stat, as I look at the sheet here, Eric, Princeton, as you mentioned, 21 of 40 from the floor. Princeton made 2 more field goals than Mount Hope Christian took. Mount Hope Christian only took 19 shots in the first half, and large in part because of the defensive pressure that Princeton put on them and turned them over.
And the turnovers. And to shoot that efficiently, Princeton shot a lot of layups in that first half.
And speaking of the turnovers, 20 turnovers in the first half.
So they have
for
more
Mount Hope
turnovers than
Christians.
they do shots.
Yes, they have more turnovers. They have 19 field goal attempts and 20 turnovers. Princeton turned it over 7 times. Of course, Princeton scored the first 13 points of the game, and they've never looked back. And they have this big 51-24 lead at the break. Going to have to take one more break, come back, get you ready for the second half. You're watching live streaming coverage of the Little General Battle for the Armory, the Pepsi division, streaming live here on Video Productions. And we welcome you back to the Raleigh County Convention Center here this afternoon. The first of 4 games going on here at the Little General Battle for the Armory. This is the Pepsi division. The next game, Eric, we think it's going to be an outstanding game between Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. That'll be the 4 o'clock game. You and I will have that. Then the night game, we'll turn it over to Bill O'Brien and Bob Bolin, and they'll have the 6 o'clock game, James Monroe and Calvary Baptist tomorrow, and Beckley tomorrow. James Monroe and Calvary Baptist at 6 o'clock, and Oak Hill and Beckley tonight. I was going to say tomorrow you and I got all 4 games, so we're going to have to be rested up, ready to go. We got 2, 4, 6, and 8.
Yeah, exciting day of basketball.
Of course, the loser of this game, unless Mount Hope Christian makes a huge rally, Mount Hope Christian will be playing in the 2 o'clock game against the loser of Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. And then Princeton, if they continue to hang on, and you would think with this lead, but anything obviously can happen. If Princeton would win the ball game, they would play in the 4 o'clock Pepsi Division title against the winner of Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. So we've got a great 2 days of what we think is going to be very good basketball.
Yeah, great high school basketball, good atmosphere. I always love doing these tournaments.
So Princeton will have the possession to start the second half. Going to the basket to my right with a big lead of 51-24. Fleming on the low post. Here's Hancock for 3, dialing it up. Hancock picks up right where he left off from the first half, and the biggest lead of the game right here at 30 points.
Yeah, Hancock is shooting that basketball with confidence today.
And look at that deflection right into the hands of Butch Mounts. Now, if we can get him to move that quick when it comes to getting equipment and everything else, we'd be all right, wouldn't we?
Right.
Wouldn't we, Eric?
That's right.
Good job by Mr. Butch Mounts. And when you're down here at press row, you got to be alert, right? Never know when you get a
head on a swivel.
Well, that's right. Never know when you get a foot upside the head or basketball upside the head, right? Here's a run out by Princeton. Shot no good to get the ball inside to Joyce, and he finishes right of the lane. Yeah, Princeton has just really overmatched Mount Hope Christian. I'm sure, and not to knock any of the teams that Mount Hope Christian has played, but I'm sure they haven't played anybody to the caliber of this Princeton team. And there's a 3 dialed up by their second leading scorer, Carney.
That's his third 3 of the afternoon as Carney dials it up from the corner.
Fleming trying to answer him back with the 3. Can't. Back irons it. And here's McCoy with it. McCoy off a screen, dials up a 3. It's short, and the long rebound is out of bounds. It'll stay with Mount Hope Christian. A minute and a half in here to the second half. But, you take a look at Princeton, and they've still got they always play a tough schedule as we got a jump ball. They beat Riverside, they beat Tazewell, beat Pikeview, beat Oak Hill, beat Pulaski, lost to Greenbrier East. They'll, after this tournament, Eric, they'll have Capital, Bluefield, Pikeview, South Charleston. They'll play Independence, Beckley, Independence again, Pikeview, Beckley for the second time, Oak Hill, Greenbrier East, and Bluefield. That's pretty tough schedule there for Princeton.
Yeah, and that Bluefield team, that's going to be a tough matchup.
Well, it always is. County rivalry. Bluefield's very good. There's a putback up and in for Princeton.
And Sarton continues his scoring pace.
Yeah. He's been really good around the basket into paint. Here's a little floater off the glass, no good. Forn put up that shot and back the other way. Fleming tacks the basket, and he'll finish right of the lane. Biggest lead of the game right here. But, another thing, too, for Princeton, and as good as they have been up to this point, a 5-1 mark, there's a timeout. Cochran hasn't really been a major factor. He's coming off of injury, and there's a full timeout. We'll take it with them with a 60-27 lead for Princeton. You're watching live streaming coverage of the Little General Battle for the Armory, streaming it live here on Video Productions. And out of the timeout, it'll be Mount Hope Christian's ball. But, Eric, you would think with the score the way it is, I think if you're Mount Hope, I think if you're head coach Runyon, you're probably saying, guys, hey, let's just forget the score. Let's just try to go out and execute and try to do what we do and try to see if we can get some stops on the defensive end.
Yeah, that's the only way you can really try to get back in this game is one possession at a time, but the possessions have to be defensively, score a few buckets and turn them over, turn Princeton over.
Because, when you're behind like this, it doesn't matter if you're scoring every possession. If you don't get stops, you're not going to get back in the game, and they turn it over. And here is a layup left of the lane. Once again, Joyce, he's had a solid game here this afternoon. And Princeton with this largest lead of the game right here.
Yeah, that's Joyce's 13th point of the contest.
Fleming clears the rebound off the Carney miss. Edwards into the ball game for Princeton. And on the little split play into the lane, little 12-footer in and out, no good. That shot was put up by Stover, but Princeton maintains the possession.
And Princeton just seems to be getting to every loose ball and rebound.
Yeah, they've had a size advantage. A little short shot, no good as they battle for loose ball. And there's Fleming. He had it for a minute, and he couldn't hang on to it. Ball's loose. Fleming picks it back up and scores. And it's just Princeton just hanging right there with it. And there's over and back as they get the ball across the midcourt stripe, and then they throw it back into the backcourt, which is a violation. So we're about halfway through the third quarter, and it was all Princeton. They scored the first 13 of the ball game. They've never looked back. They led 26-10 at the quarter, 51-24 at the break, and with this huge lead right now here halfway through the third quarter.
And Mount Hope has only been able to get, as they turn the ball over again, one bucket and a three from Carney early in the third quarter.
Yeah, only 3 points through the first 4 minutes of this third quarter. And it's just been really tough sledding on both ends of the floor for Mount Hope Christian. But both McCoy and Carney are going to be held way below their average here this afternoon. That shot's no good, and the rebound is off to Joyce for Princeton. And he'll get Joyce, yep. I'm not sure they were going to call that. Sometimes they get away with it, but not the case here. You got a very veteran officiating crew, and
it was the correct
that was
call.
The correct call. That's one thing about it. The video backs it up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I mean, I don't think they call it too much unless it gives the offensive player an advantage.
Yeah.
And I think right there he clearly.
There's a steal by Stover, and he'll lay it in with the left hand. So currently Princeton on a 10-0 run, and they've really, what was a big lead anyway, have really opened it up. But, yeah, Mount Hope Christian today, Eric, really took a big step up in class as we'll have a held ball in the possession arrow pointing toward Princeton. But, Mercer Christian, I beg your pardon, Mount Hope Christian playing Princeton from Mercer County. Last year they were 14-8. They're off to a 7-1 start this year. But like I said, I think they really stepped up in class here this afternoon playing Princeton.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a challenge, on paper, it even looked like a challenge. And Princeton's they're a deep team, well coached. Both teams are really well coached.
And you're right.
They're going to be a tough team to deal with.
Yeah, I think Princeton's even going to get even better when they get Cochran back into the mix as the full-time players coming off that injury. As Joyce buries the three from the right corner. So currently Princeton on a 13-0 run. And they've blown what was a big lead anyway into a even bigger lead as Fleming gets the steal, and he'll go in. And he thought he was fouled, no whistle, and the ball's out of bounds over to Mount Hope Christian.
Looks like he came up a little gimpy right there. May have turned his ankle.
Yeah, the look on his face. I don't think he quite elevated. For a minute I thought he was going to try to dunk it, but it didn't look like he elevated enough, to dunk it. Here's Carney with a three ball. That's going to be a little short and goes out of bounds over to Princeton. So interesting to see Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. That'll be the next game. The 2 night games will be 6 o'clock James Monroe against Calvary Baptist Academy. And then we'll close out the opening day of this little general event with the Beckley Flying Eagles and the Red Devils of Oak Hill. And ball went right through the hands of Fleming, and he'll get it back, or try to get it back to him. Ball's knocked out of bounds. So it'll stay with Princeton.
I think they're going to run 2 out of this.
And Reed Thomas to inbound on the baseline. No kin to you. Even though you got cousins everywhere. 3 ball. Every time I go to game with Eric's like, that's my little cousin. That's my little cousin. That's my little cousin. Well, this one named Thomas is not kin to Eric.
As Dom Collins dials it up from 3 to get into the scoring column.
Yep. 16 in a row ran off before that 3 ball.
That was Carney knocking it down again.
Back the other way is a 3 put up, that time by Edwards. And we got a foul on the rebound, and it's going to go against Princeton.
That will be the first foul of the third
of this
quarter.
third quarter, yeah. You know, and I think the officials will tell you the less fouls they have to call, no matter what the score of the game is, the better the game will flow. You know, you and I had that Liberty Independence boys game, and we had over 50 fouls called in the game. Both teams were in the double bonus. That's 40 fouls right there. We had way over 50 fouls called in that game, and it was hard to get any rhythm out of that particular game that you and I did that night.
Yeah, it was a lot of stoppages of play.
But, yeah, when you don't have very many fouls, like I said, regardless of what the score is, we come down to the last minute of the third, if the game, there's so much more flow to it. As there's a putback up and in, and I couldn't see Joyce on the putback.
9th point of the quarter for Joyce.
Here's Carney dialing up a 3. That won't go. And back the other way. Nice play in and 1. That was a great finish and great take to the basket that time. As that's Collins with the hoop and the harm.
That foul was going to be on Garrett Foran, his first, and team's first of the second half. See if Dom Collins can polish off the three-point play.
And he cannot. Biggest lead of the game, though, right here. Final 40 seconds of quarter number 3. Princeton going to sit back in a zone. McCoy will dial it up from downtown. Back iron it, no good. And there's Cochran into the ball game. He can't hang on to it.
And I noticed Cochran is taking off the knee brace.
I noticed that, yeah. And I'm sure that Coach Williams is going to bring him back a little time. Like I said, he obviously in the game now, and he's played. He didn't start. And it might be a few more games before they actually put him into the starting role, or they might find he's more comfortable maybe coming off the bench because he's going to get his quality minutes.
Yeah, he's going to get his minutes regardless. And
Carney with it. Tough shot into the lane, and he scores. That was in traffic. Final 13 seconds of quarter number 3.
Carney has all 8 of the points.
Get it inside. Cochran, little jump hook, scores. And that's probably going to be the final points of quarter number 3. And it is at the end of 3. It's Princeton in a big way. They lead Mount Hope Christian 78-32. You're watching the Little General Battle for the Armory streaming live here on Video Production. And we welcome back to the Raleigh County Convention Center. Video Productions would like to thank one of our live streaming sponsors, David and Cindy Chin of Altruist Realty. David and Cindy work 24/7 to make your scheduling needs. So whether you're buying or selling a home, call David and Cindy Chin so they can help you right away and get you through the process. Start the fourth quarter, and Princeton with this big lead. So Princeton's going to look to go 6-1, Eric, and they're going to get the winner of there's a nice finish there in the lane that time by Collins. Princeton will get the winner of Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. Carney dials up at 3. And you know, Eric, for whichever team wins that game, Charleston Catholic, here's Cochran on the other end with a layup. Whatever team wins that Wyoming East, Charleston Catholic, as far as when I say step up, it will be a step up in class because Princeton's a 4A and both of those are class single A.
Yeah, but both of those teams will be playing against a 4A Princeton team that's tournament ready type of team.
McCoy from another zip code as he dials up that 3 ball. But he's really been held in check. Like I said, far below what's he got? Far below the 30 points a game that he averages.
12. That's his 12.
Yeah.
All from behind the arc.
Yeah, so he's hit 4 threes here this afternoon. There's a nice little drive, man. And like that nice little play by Collins as he kind of splits the defenders for the layup. There's McCoy into the lane. Couldn't get it to go. Back the other way comes Princeton.
Princeton's on pace to hit the century mark.
Yep. Well, you figure they have Princeton with 84 points now and 6:22 to go. You would think, no question, 100 points is definitely within reach. I mean, no question about that.
They've scored above 25 points all 3 quarters.
Yeah, you know, regardless of who you're playing, if there's a foul.
Oh, he's going to call out of bounds?
Yeah.
No, he called a foul.
He did call a foul, but I think he's calling an offensive foul. But what I was going to say, regardless of who you're playing, there are certain things that if you're the coach, Rob Williams of Princeton, that you want to see your team able to do. And Princeton has done a lot of things really good here this afternoon.
Yes, and the number one thing that they've done well is that press early on set the tone for the game.
Here's a deep 3 straight away. Back iron no good. McCoy comes out of there with it. They double team him right here in front of us. But Princeton's defense has been really good today as well. Here's a shot off the glass, no good. That shot was put up by Williams, and back the other way as the ball's out of bounds. It'll stay with Princeton.
Yeah, Cochran just, when he's been in, he's really dominated the glass, keeping Mount Hope Christian just one shot and done on offensive end.
Yeah, it's been a tough afternoon for Mount Hope Christian. They've really struggled to score. They had 10 at the end of the first quarter, 24 at the half, 32 at the end of 3, and they have 35 now as we come down to 5.5 to go for the game. Cochran with a pass inside. A short shot up and in. That's a nice play that time.
Reed Thomas.
Thomas on the finish. McCoy, there's a deep 3. And they've pushed him a little further out. And when I say push, I obviously don't mean literally push, but made him shoot a little deeper than what you would. Because he was 2 or 3 feet behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, that was Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Lean.
And the one thing about it here, you know, there's 3 lines. And somebody asked me about this last week. And I'm sure one is a high school line. One is like Tech play both men and women's their college games here. I'm sure one is as Cochran went down on that. Joyce, a little scoop shot, no good. There's a high school line, there's the college women's line, and then the college men's line. As McCoy got hit in the face with no whistle, and he loses the ball. And back the other way is the layup for Princeton, and now we've got a stoppage in play. Yeah, McCoy got hit in the face inadvertently, and he lost the ball, and he was wanting to foul, but he didn't get one. And we got an official's timeout. I don't think we may have a actual timeout. But while we got a minute, we want to thank one of our Streaming sponsors and video productions would like to thank Instant Replay sponsor, West Virginia Orthopedic and Trauma, Dr. John Tabbitt. Whether you're in a car accident or you have a sports injury, Dr. Tabbitt and his staff will get you back on your feet. West Virginia Orthopedic and Trauma, a proud sponsor of high school sports in West Virginia. Well, Eric, as we look ahead, we have today and tomorrow, but a lot of basketball next week in the New River Community and Technical College tournament, and you got a lot of teams. The Shady Spring Tigers, who are playing in Florida, who lost 58-50 yesterday, play today and tomorrow in Florida. They'll be a part of that tournament, as will Beckley, Pikeview. Just trying to look at some of the other teams. Wyoming East, we'll have the Beckley girls, of course, Beckley boys. We'll have Huntington and Wheeling Park girls. We have Greenbrier East boys, James Monroe. It'll be a lot of fun, and that'll start next Tuesday. And Video Productions will be streaming the entire tournament of the New River Community and Technical event next week. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, a lot of good action. A lot of teams come to this tournament usually make it to the state tournament.
And it's kind of like their state tournament at the first of the year, because that's a big deal. There's a shot blocked in the corner. We got a foul after the shot, or maybe it's going to be on the shot.
Yeah, I think that was the correct call.
Yeah, Watson.
As Watson got it into the body of McCoy.
So McCoy will get to the line to shoot three. But, yeah, Eric, it'll be like a miniature state tournament Tuesday to Saturday next week here at the Raleigh County Convention Center in the New River Community and Technical College tournament. So the two great events, the little general tournament that we're in today and tomorrow and then next week. And, Monday, of course, is a federal holiday. That's why they're not playing on Monday. I think last year they attempted to go Monday through Friday, but snow knocked out a couple of days. And so it'll go Tuesday to Saturday of next week.
Yeah, it got a little snowy and icy last year.
Got a little too cold for me, that's for sure. As the middle free throw is made by McCoy. So he missed the first one. He makes the last two. So he got 2 of 3 from the charity stripe as we're halfway through this fourth quarter. There's a little short shot right of the lane put up by Collins. No good. Back the other way. McCoy step back 3 and grazes the front of the rim. So halfway through the fourth quarter, Princeton, here's Collins dialing it up from distance, and he splashed down a 3-ball from the left side. There's another thing, too. I think Princeton, of course, the quality shots they've gotten here today, Eric, but they've shot the ball really well.
Definitely. They were 4 of 10 in the first half from 3. And in this second half, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but they've also knocked down 3.
Wow, that was a deep 3 by McCoy. Princeton dials up a 3. Cochran with the offensive putback, can't get it to go. Princeton just doing work on the glass, and they just shoot till they make it. And that's a nice putback right there by Watson. McCoy whips a pass to Carney in the corner. McCoy another deep 3, and that's going to be an air ball. He made one the last time, but once again, that was really, really way behind the three-point line.
I think that was a heat check, got to feeling good from that first one.
Well, if he made that, maybe I ought to give him 4 points, because that was from another zip code. That was so far out. But it's going to be a good win here for Princeton this afternoon. They'll take their record to 6-1. Mount Hope's going to fall to 7-2. Hancock down the lane, up and in. McCoy shaking and baking. Pull up baseline, too strong. Princeton back on the attack. And it's an offensive foul, and that's a good call. Watson just runs over the defender.
Yeah, the defender for Mount Hope was Garrett Foran, and he did a good job of standing in there, Mariners, taking that charge. I think that was on Hancock as he had a full head of steam.
So with Princeton winning here this afternoon, they'll play tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock against the winner of Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. And, of course, the loser of Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic will get the 2 o'clock game against Mount Hope Christian. So Mount Hope Christian knows they'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Of course, you and I will have all 4 games tomorrow. Tonight's night session, Bill O'Brien and Bob Bolin will call those. Here's McCoy shaking and baking. And a little short shot right of the lane, up and in. Miller on the finish.
It's Miller's 4th point of the game.
3 ball on the left side, back iron no good. That 3 was put up by Edwards, but Princeton maintains possession. But yeah, once we get the final numbers, I think you're going to see where Princeton has shot a very high percentage in this game. There's a little shot into the lane, is good. Thomas on the finish. So let's see if Princeton will hit the century mark. They're a field goal away from doing that. Carney will dial up a 3, and it's good. So maybe Princeton might have this possession, maybe one more if they'll hit the century mark, and they'll get to 99 with that layup. So we're coming down to the final minute of this one. McCoy a deep 3. Front of the rim, no good. And here's a chance for Princeton to break the century mark. And will they do it with the 3? They will not, at least on that shot. McCoy, a little shake and bake, and lays it up and in. So final 30 seconds of the game. And there's a little floater, no good. The putback is not there. So maybe it looks like Princeton maybe not going to get to the century mark. Still got 25 seconds left in the game.
Yep, it seems like the shots are just not falling. They're pressing too much.
The basketball gods don't want them to get to the century note, right? Get to the C note, correct? This may be the last possession of the game as McCoy just walks it up. And they might run it down to make sure that Princeton doesn't get 100 points. But nevertheless, it's a good quality win for Princeton. They'll go 6-1, and Mount Hope Christian will go 7-2 as McCoy just dribbling it out. So 99-47, and that shot will count if it goes. It does not. And your final score is Princeton 99 and Mount Hope Christian 47. Princeton will now go to 6-1. Mount Hope Christian will go to 7-2. We'll take a break, come back, and give you some of the numbers of this big Princeton win. As you are watching the Little General Battle for the Armory, the Pepsi division, streaming live here on Video Productions. Center with Eric Thomas. I'm Maris Lowry. The heavy hitter, Mr. Nick Eskins, an outstanding job as always, producing and directing. And, you know, when I hang out with the heavy hitter, my stock goes up, Eric. I thought it was you, but now I know it's really Nick. Also, Andrew Bolin in the house, and Mr. Butch Mounts here as well. We got the whole crew with us. As the final score of our first of 4 games here this afternoon and this evening and tonight, Princeton dominates Mount Hope Christian, winning the ball game 99-47. Princeton scored the first 13 points of the game and never looked back. They led 26-10 at the end of the first quarter, 51-24 at the break, 78-32 at the end of 3. And once again, the final score is 99-47. 47. And, Eric, we've got some numbers here from this big Princeton win. We've got team and individual totals, and if you want to go ahead and give them.
Yes, Princeton finished on the game 43 of 81 from the field. 8 of 21 Maris from the three-point line, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. And they only had 11 turnovers on the contest. And, I mean,
very efficient.
Anytime you're that efficient. And they had 4 players in double figures. Chase Hancock had 18, Chris Joyce 18, Cohen Sarton with 14, and Nick Fleming with 12. And they had 2 other players knocking on the door of double figures, and Dom Collins and Reed Thomas off the bench with 8 points each. And Mount Hope, they just struggled all evening. They had 29 turnovers, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 10 of 29 from three-point range, and 16 of 47 overall in the game. And their 2 big guns were really held in check. They were led by Nolan Carney with 23 points, Maris, and I think he averaged 20 on the year. But they held Princeton was able to hold Josiah McCoy, who was averaging 30 points a game, to 19 points today.
So, to me, when I look at the stat sheet, Eric, as I look at this, you looked at, and I said during the course of the broadcast and didn't know what the actual numbers will be, but 52% from the 4, actually 53%, 43 of 81. I knew Princeton shot it well, but Princeton made 43 field goals, and Mount Hope only attempted 47 field goals. But like you said, the 29 turnovers, a good total team effort for Princeton. So our next game will tip at 4 o'clock here in the Pepsi division. It'll be Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. And I have 3:12 here local time, so we'll be on about 5 to 4 with that. So Mount Hope Christian with the loss, they'll go 7-2, and they will play at 4 o'clock, at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Princeton's in the 4 o'clock game. The loser of this next game gets the 2 o'clock game against Mount Hope Christian. Of course, the winner obviously will get Princeton in the Pepsi division championship game tonight at 6 o'clock. In the Burger King division, it'll be James Monroe against Calvary Baptist. That's at 6. And at 8 o'clock, the final game here of the day and night will be Oak Hill and Beckley. Looking forward to that. So for our entire crew here of this first game, for Butch Mounts, for Andrew Boland, the heavy hitter Nick Eskins, for my partner Eric Thomas, I'm Maris Lowry. Repeating the final score, it was Princeton over Mount Hope, 99-47. We'll talk at you about 5 till 4 as we get you ready for Wyoming East and Charleston Catholic. You've been watching live streaming coverage of